shelter from all that we see. Why should we worry? No one will care, girl. Look at the stars, so far away. We've got tonight. Who needs tomorrow? We've got tonight, babe. Why don't you stay? Deep in my soul, I've been so lonely. All of my hopes fading away. I've longed for love like everyone else does. I've seen it all and hear it all. What do you say? We've got tonight. Who needs tomorrow? We've got tonight, baby. Why don't you stay?
Yes, it's my job to determine the manner and mechanism of death.
Good afternoon. I'm Ted Williams, Fox News. You all have said that these killings are targeted. Can you share with us why you believe they are targeted killings? And do you know who, if any, of the victims were the actual targets of the killings? Why you believe they are targeted killings? And do you know who, if any, of the victims were the actual targets of the killings? Why you believe they are targeted killings? And do you know who, if any, of the victims were the actual targets of the killings?
We stated earlier in the previous press release, or press conference, we believe they're targeted because we take a totality of all the circumstances that we're looking at. Do we know any one person that it was targeted? We're not able to say at this point in time due to our investigation, but we still believe that. But we, like I said, we take a totality of everything that we're looking at.
Let me just take you back to Sunday morning about 1:45. At that time, all 4 victims are back in this house. Now there are 2 entrances to this home. One through that front door that has a coded lock. We've learned that at times that coded lock would be left off because a lot of people would come to this location for parties. And then there's a sliding back door. And Lawrence, there were 2 individuals in this home that was left untouched. Somebody the next day, around 9 hours after this incident was supposed to have taken place, called law enforcement. When law enforcement got here, they found that the door was unlocked. There was no forced entry. But, Lawrence, I can further tell you, at some stage there was an autopsy performed. The medical examiner said that there was blood all over this place, all on the walls, on the floors. It was a very vicious attack, and the weapon that the medical examiner said was a knife.
Names of the 4 University of Idaho students killed at an off-campus home over the weekend. MASKcow police say 20-year-old Ethan Chapin of Conway, Washington, 21-year-old Madison Mogan of Coeur d'Alene, 20-year-old Xana Kernodle of Avondale, Arizona, and 21-year-old Kaylee Goncalves of Rathdrum, Idaho, were found dead yesterday around noon local time in Moscow. MASKcow police said the 4 found are homicide victims. The University of Idaho has canceled classes today out of respect for the students.
We understand the public's frustration about not being provided a lot of information. We are working to the best of our ability to actually provide as much as possible. We intend to come out and solicit information from the public if they are within certain areas that we believe are of interest for this investigation.
Why you believe they are targeted killings, and do you know who, if any, of the victims were the actual targets of the killings?
We understand the public's frustration about not being provided a lot of information. We are working to the best of our ability to actually provide as much as possible. We intend to come out and solicit information.
All right, guys, welcome to Truth and Transparency. Again, make sure that you guys are just being kind in chat. I want to thank the mods for being here. We got Hector, the projector. I got all these sheets so that you guys can see everything. I'm going to put it up as big as possible. I'll take myself off at times. But this episode is for you guys to be able to put faces and names together and what their connection is to this. Is to the best of my ability to help you guys all out. If you would like it in a binder, $19.99. I'm just kidding. I'm a big binders person. So, but again, yes, welcome. Let's see what we're going to be taking a look at here first. Thank you guys for all the kind words as well. Appreciate you guys. When it's all said and done, if you like the video, hit the thumbs up. you know, if you think it could be better, you know, hit the thumbs down, make a comment in the comment section. You have an opinion. I will never tell anybody. You make up your own mind. I just simply provided the best of my ability information that I research. So, again, thank you guys for being here. All right. Now, this is when we'll start from the beginning, which will be, this is the house in 2021. Okay. Here is your 6 housemates at King. And I'm going to, all right. There you go. All right. Obviously, Maddie doesn't have her name down, but there is 6. She's in the middle. Okay. Maddie was a junior, and everybody else was seniors and would be graduating. Okay. So they all move in at the 1122 King Road, August of 2021 to May 2022, because then people start subletting. Okay. All of these residents are all Pi Phis. Okay. So you have Maddie's the only junior. There you go. And this is all public. All right. These are taken off of public sites. All right. And they took this picture here December 5th, 2021. I mean, that's just when it was posted. I guess the picture could have been taken anytime. And what I went ahead and did is I created, all of these girls right here are all in the same sorority. Okay. And underneath them, I just put, we're going to be adding stuff in, and I'm going to do it as we go because it'll help you guys. But also what I have over here is I'm going to add in stuff when the house switches over and who then are the roommates. Okay. Because these are all senior girls minus one, Maddie being a junior. They were all in the same sorority. They all knew each other. They were all good friends. This wasn't a house in 2021 to 2022 that was thrown together. These girls were together from A1 day one when we're talking about MASKcow, Idaho, in terms of same sorority. You know, you're not clashing up a bunch of different grade levels. People, some of them can drink, some of them can't. This house, you got all seniors and one junior. Okay. Now, that would not be the same though once (2022), and I'm only going to this date, but then we have Maddie and Kaylee were the only seniors, and then your middle bunch here, 1 junior, 2 sophomores. Okay. But before we get to that, I took the social medias of all of these people. And what I went through and I looked and I want to know who was friends with Emma Bailey. And that would be, and following each other on Instagram back and forth. And it'd be these 2 right here. Okay. Emma Bailey has 3 different accounts on Instagram. Emma Bailey grew up in MASKcow, Idaho. She went to high school at the high school. One of her best friends is none other than Aiden Barnhart. Okay. Now, the reason this is important is because these are local people that grew up in MASKcow, Idaho. They graduated in 2019 from the high school. All right. And when I was going through searching all of this, I noticed something. I noticed that Kaylee had liked pictures of this girl's Instagram. All right, so I took a screenshot for you. And you can see right here, it says 357 weeks ago. I'm going to zoom in so you can see it. $357 weeks ago. That is equivalent to 6 years and 9 months. 6 years and 9 months. I went and I looked, but there's that one. And then there is this one from back in the day. 204 weeks. Okay. Kaylee. And where's the other one I want to show? Well, there was another one that was 255 weeks. All right. But I went ahead and I double checked. And the interesting part about this is that this is before they ever went to college. All right. So when you go back your 6 and almost 7 years, this is before they went to college. This is before that they would have ever crossed paths, you know, in that area. Also, Kaylee and Aiden are not friends on Instagram. They don't follow each other on Instagram right now. Okay. Aiden. Mad Greek Restaurant and Pizza, 2017 to 2019. She worked almost every position except dishwasher and bartender. While I worked there, you know, whatever else she wants to say. Okay. Move this over here. So I can see it like this. All right. Now, it's just my belief that I don't believe that Kaylee went through this girl's posts and decided to hit the like on this girl's posts on 3 different occasions back 7 and 6 years ago. Okay. So I went and dug further. And again, this is all public. This is what made me follow it, to the point of I followed Aiden because I saw that Emma was tagged in this family portrait, but Emma is not in the picture, but she's like family to them. Okay. Then I went and saw that. So you got your Mad Greek. Okay. Aiden. Then Emma's like family to Aiden, and Aiden's mom, Aiden's a girl. Aiden's mom is big into the competitive cheerleading. Also, Aiden's grandmother, okay, has waterfront property in Coeur d'Alene. So there's ties to Coeur d'Alene with Aiden's family, grandma. And Kaylee was a cheerleader. Aiden was a cheerleader. I can't find a picture of those two together, you know, but the National Cheerleading Association, like I said, if you check it out for yourself, you would see how active Aiden's mom was in this competition with the cheerleading and the dance and stuff like that. I believe that they crossed paths back in the day. Again, what I thought was interesting, though, is that here you have posts. Kaylee liked stuff back in the day. And so I was expecting to see that they would be still, you know, I guess you could say like following each other, but they were not. They're not. So if you want to say they were friends and now I don't know if they weren't anymore, you can draw your own conclusions. Simply, I'm just letting you know that all of these likes, there was 3 of them, and they were back 6 and 7 years ago, and neither one of them followed the other person. Now, Emma Bailey, she has 3 different Instagram accounts. Okay? 3 different ones. This is one of them. All right. This, how she's tagged here, is another one. The reason I'm showing this is because the police had somebody message Emma Bailey through social media in the private messenger app feature to set up like a drug buy, and we're gonna talk about that. So these were 2 of the accounts, and then the other account is it's some crazy shit. It's the America account. When I come across it, I'll show you. Right here, this right here, Mr. Proper Promotions. This is an account for Demetrius Robinson. Okay. So this is off of Emma Bailey's. This was a post of hers that she posted. I also clicked on the followers, the following. So I clicked to see who was following her. And I got the screenshot to show you guys that this is this D guy. This is one of his accounts. Okay. This is Emma Bailey's account. We have 5 mutuals only because I did the following click button. And McKinley Art Lounge, that's where one of the places that they would rent out to have these parties at. Okay. And right here's Caden Young. Another person that was popping up all over the place, we'll get to this later, is the Gray. And then I was able to find Emma Bailey's mom, who does artwork and has another business where she's using, well, we'll get to that in a little bit. So, but I was looking at the connections of who was following who. So, and 100, Kate Young is following Emma and Emma's following him. Going back to this family tree here, okay. Lake is Aiden's stepbrother, the son of Joe Campbell. Joe Campbell is a professor at WSU. His ex-wife, the mother of their son, she is a professor at Idaho University of Idaho. art design program. Well, guess who also has their own artwork? Emma Bailey's mom. That's one of her businesses, is her artwork. Okay. Again, program head, art design professor. These are all local people that we're talking about here. Locals. Emma Bailey made a phone call when she was getting arrested for her DUI. Okay. I can't prove this, but this public account, I believe that she was getting in touch with her brother. Same name as her dad's name. The name of this episode is Mask instead of MASKcow. It's MASKcow because we're going to talk about every single person I swear that I've come across in this case has one time or another there we go. This was 80 weeks ago. Okay. This is Aiden, and this is her boyfriend. Okay. Back it up a little bit for you. And I love these sweatpants, so I give her props on this. Stop looking at my dick. I think that that's effing hilarious. Props there. And again, 80 weeks ago is like a year and a half ago. This was taken October 29th, 2021. But everybody's got their mask on, mask off in Moscow. So, again, it is Halloween, okay? But it just goes to show that everybody has these masks laying around, all right? And they were actually green. This is in black and white, but these are green. So now, we'll come back to that. Again, so you have the National Cheer Association. That is how I think Aiden and Kaylee possibly could have crossed paths through that. There somehow, some way, I mean, I don't believe that Kaylee would have went through some girl's Instagram all the way back so many years to then just hit a couple likes on these pictures. I just don't see that happening. Even if they were friends at one point, normally you don't go back and like people's past posts. That's like a weird thing. Somebody would be like, they'd get weirded out. Okay. Again, the Mad Greek restaurant. Now we can add another name to this. All right. Now we have Aiden, best friend of Emma Bailey, and another Moscow local. She worked there 2017 to 2019. And then she took her talents to the Moose Lodge to be a bartender, I believe. But Aiden was there from 2017 to 2019 at the Mad Greek restaurant. As I just showed you. Aiden's grandmother owns Harbor Front property. Let's see. We're going to go to Aiden moved to California about a year and a half to 2 years ago. I think that they are openly in the weed business. I think that that's why they live in California. It's legal there. And I do believe they're in the weed business. Again, it's totally legal to have and to operate any type of weed business. Again, that is just my opinion based on the social media. She's a proud girl of her boyfriend, and she's a big advocate of Black Lives Matter. I think that's great. And it's nice actually to see in Moscow because of past history in that area. So I high five her, and she links it in her social media. So again, I think that's great. Again, I think that this is interesting. That I do believe that they were friends at one point, and I think there was a falling out of some sort. Because people usually don't go out of their way to like unfollow and follow just because it's like a, you know, that's like you're making a statement when that happens. So if that detachment happens, for example, let's go back to the people that lived in the house. They were friends with Kendra, Ashlyn. These two followed Emma. Emma followed them. They knew each other. Definitely had a relationship on social media as well as in person. And there's no, though, you can't, that's where the connect is. It's not like that's being trickled over to Aiden, except for one person, and we're going to get to that a little bit later. Now, I think it's important to talk about something that happened back in the day. This is, you can find this in a suit in like a criminal investigation that went to the, Demetrius was at the Commons. That's like a apartment complex, and he was beating the shit out of some guy. And anyways, it was because some guy that Demetrius, you know, roughed up a little bit, or you could say a lot. It was because this guy made this girl here, who's, again, this is all in paperwork, it's all public knowledge if you do your research. He made her feel uncomfortable at the pool. And so he stuck up for her at the pool, and X, Y, and Z. He ends up getting charged, though, because he was literally beating the shit out of some guy. Again, you can go check it out. Something that I thought was interesting, though, is I think there's a backstory with this girl and with D, which I'll come back to a little bit later. Now, Emma Bailey, again, this is all public. 2/13/2023. All right. That's your DUI. Here is something that I don't know what it is. Okay. But it was in August. And I'm trying to get as much information as I can on that now, but I want to see what this was for. We know this was for the DUI. And then this is for Caden Young arresting her and Demetria for supplying, allegedly, the drugs that caused Caden to OD. Now, we're going to talk about this a little bit. Okay. We're going to talk about what happened to Caden, because this is just something that I struggle with to understand how actually Emma Bailey and Demetrius are getting charged with that. Seeing is that, I'm going to show you guys a little. I keep it fair across the board. Okay. So what I have here is Harbor View Medical Center. And then here is 3000 Forest Avenue. Okay. I'm going to make this, let's see if this light will help it out. All right. So Caden Young on March 21st, that weekend, the kickoff spring break, he goes down to party in Seattle. Okay. So he's down here partying. He is taken. So he ODs, allegedly ODs, and then it's Emma Bailey and D that basically revive him with CPR and whatnot, and then take him to this hospital. Okay. And I would love to know more of the situation, because I don't know how you could possibly be taken to a hospital and the hospital lets you leave at 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay. They let you leave at 2 o'clock in the morning. And then so he leaves. It never says what time he got there though. Okay. But his friend comes and picks him up from the Harbor View Medical Center. And then they drive to this block, the 3000 block, which is these apartments. All right, these apartments. All right, so these apartments, again, this is from 10 years ago, but that's the clip they give you on Google. And the drive to go to those apartments is 1 hour and 21 minutes. Okay. 1 hour and 21 minutes. I mean, that's a pretty big, that's a long hike. So if I was partying in Seattle, how could I expect to party in Seattle and we're all getting drunk and high and whatever, and then expect to then, okay, where was I supposed to stay that night? Where was I supposed to stay? Did I have a hotel lined up? What were my plans? Because I don't believe that these plans could have possibly consisted of, we're going to get fucked up in Seattle, and then we're going to drive 1 hour and 21 minutes to a friend's house at these apartments that night. That doesn't make any sense to me. Okay. But then again, it is this case. So it said that when the hospital released him, and he goes and his friend picked him up and then drove him back to these apartments, which is 1 hour and 21 minutes away. All right. It said that, so I'm gonna put another side-by-side view here. Okay. I'm gonna zoom in. All right. Perfect. It said that then when he got back, that when they went to sleep, that it was while he was sleeping or attempting to fall asleep, that he just stopped breathing. Okay. And Demetrius and Emma Bailey weren't with them then. So Emma Bailey and Demetrius take him, allegedly, the story that I have is that they drop him off at the hospital when this happened, back around 2 o'clock in the morning, if not earlier, because he gets discharged from the hospital at 2 a.m. Okay, so they take him there, and then over here is, where are we at? Right here. This is where in Washington, Emma Bailey and Demetrius are located when they're found and they're arrested. Okay, it was in this area of the Seattle area. Okay, nowhere near where any of this was going on. But who did Caden Young get more drugs from, or did they still have the batch of drugs that they originally bought from Emma Bailey and Demetrius, and they took it again after he gets out of the hospital? Then they did more drugs. Because I think it's only fair to talk about the fact that you got two people that, if the story is the way that I was told it, the story was that these two took Caden to the hospital, did CPR, and basically saved his life, or were like, attempted to, and then, the hospital, he was clearly alive and discharged and he left. What happened between the time that he left then, the hospital, like where did they go? Okay. And I mean this wholeheartedly because I think we need to go back to this part, which is if you were partying in Seattle, okay, why are you that night? Where were you planning on sleeping? Where were you planning on sleeping that night? Because I can promise you, if it was an hour and 21 minutes away, then that's a really bizarre. I mean, unless one of your drivers is like, hey, I'll just be the DD and I don't drink and I don't do anything else, so I'll just drive us there and drive us back. I just think that's an odd plan. Even if I was the sober driver, like I don't want to drive at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning after I've been up, So I think it's fair to look at all angles with how that night all played out. Because he left the hospital and, by all accounts, when I say like he was fine, I mean, I don't think anybody's fine when they almost, lose your life and you OD, but you're revived, and I still think that's a huge scare. So I'm curious of the activities that happen between leaving the hospital at 2 a.m. and then taking this hour and 21 minute drive to the 3000 block, which are these apartments. All right. And I can't imagine that this hospital wouldn't like make sure and check to the best of their ability. I've never been in a situation like that. I've never had to go pick up somebody at the hospital that OD'd. I've never been in any type of situation like that. But I'm hoping that tomorrow, maybe some of the people that are popping on, maybe they know. Who knows? But definitely wanted to point this out in terms of like how far everything, is and was. Going back to everybody that's involved in Idaho. If you're paying attention to these social media accounts, okay, I just can't help but notice like these kids are traveling all the time. These kids are traveling all the time. And traveling costs money. I don't care if you're putting it on a credit card. Like, who's paying for this? And I'm going to show you what I mean. Because I wrote this down. Where is it? Okay. Okay, for example. Aiden was in New York, May 13th, 2018. LA, June 25th, 2018. Las Vegas, August 2018. Oh, hold on. That's way too bright. Hold on. There we go. You're gonna have to deal with my chicken scratch here for a second. This is the part I couldn't type up, but all right. So I went and looked at Aiden and her travels. New York, May 13th, 2018. Then out to LA, June 25th, 2018. Then out to Las Vegas, August 2018. Then Cabo, June 2019. That was the same trip. They were there for a week. There is a Vegas trip, 2018. Vegas again, July 2019. November, Vegas 2019. December 2019, Miami. December 2019, left from Miami to go to the Bahamas. And then I just decided to stop because I was just trying to pick out, like, you know, to see enough of a pattern to see where people are going. But the same thing is true with just everybody. Everybody's going, you know, on these trips or going to visit people, whatever you want to call it. They're going to Seattle. They're going to LA. They're going to Mexico a lot. And no offense, but working at Mad Greek is not going to, you're not going to be able to go and pay for a trip to then be purchasing the type of stuff that they're purchasing. But guys, you're also allowed to be what, you know, parents do, send their kids to college, and hey, they give them, like, you know, a credit card, or they have, hey, when people are well off, yeah, here, go there, whatever. So was that the case? I'm not going to sit here and divulge every single person's financial. Do I know it? Yes, but I'm not going to sit here and talk about that. I'm just saying, look, you want to look at that with the traveling and the money, and where is it coming from, and how's it being spent? So let's go back to okay. You guys are going to laugh at this. All right. I was looking around because I want to know who people were dating, you know, before who they're dating now. And I give some of these people props. Like, this guy's hilarious. Like, his name is Jules the Main Plug, basically outing himself that he's the main bitch. Plug is a word like, hey, I'm going to hook you up with your drugs. I'm your plug. Okay. Jules the Main Plug. He went to high school at MASKcow High School. He also dated. So he was friends with Emma Bailey, but he dated for a hot second Aiden. Well, if you go and you read the way this kid writes, like, it is just damn right crazy. He's talking all types of smack about, like, hey, Aiden, that's my bitch. Leave her alone. Oh, you motherfuckers be fucking with my girl. Fuck you. Like, just blasting this all over her social media. Yeah, that's my bitch. Like, I'm just like, whoa. And I think people are cracking jokes about how he would be and whatnot. But this guy literally talks about, like, it's just, there's a pattern there. And it's a selling drug pattern. Like, he's telling you what he does right here. Okay. That's what. And here, you know what? I'm going to see if I can print it off so you guys can see it. Cause I think I try to mix my seriousness with I try to be serious, but then, hey, when I see something that's funny, something's funny. And this guy is on his page, talking all whack shit. Okay. Like, that's just, you're just screaming to get caught with whatever the hell you're doing. So it's over here somewhere, but it was funny because then on her page, this girl comments to him, like, all these years later, and she, like, basically mimics him. And then Aiden's busting up laughing. She's like, oh man, that was like a year ago. But they're all like laughing at this kid. Bless his heart. Hopefully he's changed his ways. So, but yeah, just some local stuff there. Now let's take a look at the PCA, or you guys should remember these names. Okay, we have Indian Hills. Every name that's in the PCA, as far as street names go, I thought it was wild. Okay, absolute wild. But all these locals that we've been talking about here, they've at one time or another, or still do, okay, have houses on these streets. Okay. They at one time or another either had a house on that street, or they still currently have a house on that street. And something that clicked for me is that if you're familiar with that area, you're going to be able to use your little back roads to completely stay off of, let's say, like Taylor, and know how to get through all the like the little back roads because you live, you've lived there, so you know how to get around. All right, and you're bouncing around on roads that you had like you grew up on. Okay. So it was interesting to me to see these names in the PCA and these street names. And these street names, all the locals that I've been talking about here, there's connections with all those street names. Those people would have lived on, or their family. Let me grab this. Now, Sleuthy, I think she's in here. She posted today. It was something that I was going to be touching on as well. So again, we're all buzzing about this. God, that guy is still at it with that fucking fence, man. He blew out our internet today. And then now he's still working on that fence. Oh, wait, let me make that smaller. Okay. All right, so I want you guys to take a look. See how this picture says 8 months ago. Okay. Again, here's public information. This is the warrant, the deed. And yes, look at this. Lawrence is the father of Demetrius and his brother Francisco. Okay. Back in 2002, that's the buyer. They bought it for $166,000, literally put pennies down. Okay. That was because of the market back then. And then sold the house, see seller, for $515,000. All right. Now we go back to this, and people are like, oh man, there's no way that could be the car because, if they had already been moved, if you do the dates and everything like that. Except I went one step further. You can sell a place and yet still then rent from it. Okay. And why I believe that's the case is because May 2023. I think that, hey, you want to sell a place, you need a bunch of money, you're going to free up a bunch of cash, okay? But yet you're still going to, the deal is that we're still going to rent the house from you, you're going to have renters. So, I believe he is 100 renting. But again, I could be wrong. At the end of the day, I do my homework, and I knew this from the beginning when I showed that 10-minute video. This was all coming from, but I just can't give you all my goodies at the same time. So that's that. Again, Lana, do you need me to send you pencils? No, I have a ton of pencils. And in fact, I could use this thing. Look at this. Look at that. Let's go bigger with that, but let's erase that. You guys should have seen the one day I was going to town on this thing, checking out the different things that it can do. But yeah. Hector's on point. If you look at that date, and then you look here, so same address, same everything. So again, yes, there was a buyer, but did it change the fact that somebody was still, were they still renting? Again, I don't know. Oopsies. Moving on. Okay. So we're going to do this first. Wait, go back. My glasses weren't on. You can't see it? Let's see here. All right. So, I said it earlier. There is not any. There's no fraternity member that has come forward to be like, oh yeah, I've seen Brian, or I know that name, or I've seen him. In fact, everybody's saying stuff to each other that they have no idea who this person is. They've never seen him before. What do you guys think about that? It's a little blurry. Let's see. It should go into autofocus. Okay. So in 2021, when they all lived together, this is basically every girl is from the same sorority. Really good friends. They do everything together. They're basically moving an extension of their home at the sorority house, okay, which was 507 Idaho Ave, where that house is located. They were sorority, like their sorority house. Then they get this house, and they're all in the same sorority, okay? Which I think is important, because that is completely different then. All right. So everybody all the locals know that house as these girls' house. If you think about it. Okay. Because of them living there in 2021. during that first part of the year, and then the second half of that year, 2022. All right. Then, Maddie stays, and are they still posting pictures that they're there? I don't know. But it's not until this coming year where this is what I don't understand. This was like thrown together. So who were other seniors that Maddie would have been close with? Like, that's like her grade level. When she went in as a freshman, she's living in the dorms. Then all these people get bidded on, and they become, what are they? Pi Phis together. So when you would go to like refill this house, to me, it just seems like this is being thrown together with a bunch of different people. I mean, yes, Xana makes sense. Bethany and obviously Kaylee makes sense. But then Bethany and Dylan, they're supposed to be living though in the sorority house. That's what you normally do your sophomore year. Now I get it that COVID, so things may have changed with COVID, but that's like an experience that everybody wants to have, to live. Oh my gosh, we get to live in the house, and that's supposed to be like an experience for you. Why did they not want to do that? Whoopsies. I don't know the answer, but I'm at least going to tell you some things that I think are interesting. Is there could possibly now be a clash for territory. Okay. If you guys are all over there saying that Dylan's boyfriend in Boise, and then his thing is known to like be selling drugs, all right? But then you have the MASKcow, Idaho, Washington, Pullman area, like that. That's D's town. Okay, I don't know these. I don't know. But if people, all I know is this. It's just made. It's logic. If you try to come into my area and try to take something that's I would deem as mine, I think I would have a problem with that. Okay, I think I'd have a problem with that. Not saying that that's what happened, but I'm just looking at things just like how I see like this house makeup right here. When I played my sports, you're usually not mixing different sports members and different sorority house members with different sororities. That usually doesn't happen. Well, here, Kaylee is not in the same house as any of these other girls are. Was that problematic? But was Kaylee even still a member of her sorority? Also, was Kaylee only going to be staying for a couple months because she was planning on graduating in December and going to Europe and then starting the intern? And then Jordan, her friend, was coming down to Austin to, move down there in June. She's a teacher. She had to wait till the school year was over. And they're going to have a place in Austin. All right, so going back to these girls, Why is that like that? The two girls that were following and being followed by Emma Bailey, these are the two girls that all of a sudden decide that they're going to start getting jacked. Meaning, like, I'm sorry, it's really hard for women to change their body. I did it a couple episodes ago, but the same two women that are friends and know Emma Bailey and the locals, these are the two that decide we're going to get jacked. We're going to start pounding the weights and taking shit, and we're going to get like bodybuilder fit. I don't know. I mean, that's just a 180 of a lifestyle that you were living. So those are the same two girls. The S next to them is for senior, by the way, when they were during that time. I also think it's interesting, if you guys are just here for the first time, I've said this, I don't know when Kaylee decided she was not going to stay there for the whole year, because I know that they were looking forward to living together for the first time. So I don't know when that became a thing, if something happened, okay, and there was an issue. And so she's just like, okay, well, I was going to be graduating early, but I was just going to stick around and work around here so I could be with my friends, because she was looking forward to living with Maddie, because they hadn't been able to live together in college because they were in different sororities and things like that. Well, how am I supposed to fill this house that should have 6 girls, and here there's only 5? And now once Kaylee leaves, now we have 4. How are we splitting the bills? How are we splitting this rent? I get it when money's not a thing to you, or you're on scholarship and the school's paying for it. I don't see that that's what's happening though with these kids. Anybody that would probably been there on academics that's paying for the school, probably not for your room. But so Kaylee leaves at the end of that semester. Now your house is down to 4 people. It was already short with 1 person, but now it's going to have 4. Okay. Nobody, I mean, like what's going on here? And that place was a pretty penny to rent. Yep, Maddie was on the dean's list. Very smart girl. Okay. Isn't it up to the landlord to rent the rooms? Nope. That's not how it works. Not with this house. So for me, you're just moving in August. So August, September, October. Well, you're moving at the end of August. You have September, October, in November. That just seems like an awful lot to go through to, I just question if that was the plan all along. That Kaylee would be moving out at the beginning of December once finals was up. Again, you're already down 1 person, so this house is supposed to, it's 6 bedrooms. You only have 5. Did they not want to fill that 6th room? And you would think that, the rumor out there is that, oh, there was a 6th person on the lease. Well, I think there's a lot of things that are going to be messed up with that lease because people were subletting. So I don't even know if some people signed that lease. Okay. And how people got these rooms, guys, it's because whatever room you took over. So all these girls were living there. Where is it? It's just based on when they left. Because technically your lease goes all the way until August. That's usually when you resign. And over the Venmos that I showed. So who's ever, Maddie's just been in her room since that's the room that she had. Nobody wants to, like, you're not going to just change rooms. So one of these other girls had that other room that Kaylee took over. Xana came in early. Dylan came in a little early. Bethany, not sure. So it just, for lack of better words, guys, it seems like everything with this house got thrown together last minute. Okay. And you're taking people from different, like this was a very tight knit group of girls to then, and I'm not trying to say that these other, when you put everybody in that house that they weren't like cool or anything like that, but this is, you're growing up and going through the college, like, okay, freshman year, sophomore year, okay, junior year. All of these girls were seniors and Maddie was added. Because one of these girls was her big and she was, that person's little. So when you usually start thinking about who you're going to be living with, that normally starts being talked about in the beginning of the spring, if not even earlier. So I would love to know how that all was decided. Why didn't Maddie just move out and get like an apartment with another person versus having to fill that house? Because remember, Maddie left for the whole summer leading up into the school year. She was in Boise. She was with Jake in Boise. And people can sit out there and say, well, why does any of this matter? Well, because when everybody was there finally at the end of August, within two months and a week, 10 days, 4 out of the 6 people were murdered. And the 2 that didn't get murdered are the 2 that should have never, in my opinion, been in the house to begin with, because they were the sophomores that were supposed to be what you would deem as, I guess you could say, regular, that you're at the sorority house. Also, in all the body cam footage, it never talks about Bethany or Dylan. In every body cam footage that we were able to pull up until that date, Maddie's on one of them, Xana's on one of them, and Kaylee's on one of them. It's like these people don't exist in those body cams. If anybody was going through the body cams to see who lived there, well, these names are going to be nowhere to be found. Okay. But these other 3, again, this is also a bigger age gap. Like, these people can't drink alcohol at your house. So do you want to have a chance of getting in trouble for that type of stuff? Because who are they going to be friends with? They're friends with sophomores. So all of their friends are underage. That just normally is like a problem. It leads to problems. And so if Kendra and Ashley, let's just say, because they were the ones that seemed like they had the contact, once they would have moved out of that house, how are they then going about if they want to get party drugs? And you guys, that's different than like, I'm not sitting here saying, because there's none of these girls are addicted to drugs, like shooting up heroin every day or anything like that. That's not what this is. This is if you're planning on having all your friends over and everyone's like, oh my God, can you go ahead and see if you can get, like, oh my God, I've never taken, whatever before. How much is going to be? Let's all just throw in. And can you have so-and-so drop some of it off so we can try it all together and see what's going on? So if then, I know that I don't think Emma Bailey was going to individual people like random sorority chicks and individually meeting with each one of those girls. Absolutely not. It would be like, yeah, let's here, if we all throw in $20, then you can go ahead and give like the $600 to whoever. And so she comes to the 1122 King house and gives it to, let's say, like Xana. Okay. And then people are, bring in their portion or whatever for their money to try, I don't know, shroom or whatever. I'm just throwing this out there. But that's how I was looking at things. It wasn't until I talked to the students that were in these fraternities saying that, well, Xana sold to us, like we bought from her. Well, I still can see it being like the same way though. Because you have such a good relationship with, like, you see them always going to formals and they're always hanging out. If they're the ones that had the relationship, yeah, can you get us so-and-so, like, can you get so-and-so? Why do I want to deal with somebody like Demetrius, who's I'm scared of? Like, oh, dude, I don't know. I don't want him to come beat my ass. Here, we'll just give you the money. Can you just call him? Like, that's how I could see things going down. Not necessarily saying that Xana or any of these girls are out there like posting up on the block. Like, that's not what's happening. It's all just about like how you know somebody. So all of these girls know all of their, especially Maddie, she knows all of her old roommates. So all she would have to do, who she's like really close friends with, this Kendra girl. Well, Kendra and Emma, they communicate, they kick it. So this is to show you how it would be so easy to hit somebody up in Snapchat, hit somebody up that you are on that level with. Oh, hey, we're having our formal. Do you think that we can get some stuff from you, like, this weekend? When should we meet up with you? So let me look at your guys's, let me look over here in chat. Again, I want to give you guys props. Again, I already showed you guys how everybody knows D. It's through Emma. Okay. Xana didn't need her mom. I don't believe that her mom had anything to do with this. This is college type, like what they think they're doing, like Xana and them, is like low key little crap. What D's running is like an operation. Okay. It's a totally different thing. All right. So D and Emma Bailey, because Emma Bailey dropped out of college, moved in with this dude, this guy who's 36, this guy who has alleged rapes that the girls then ended up saying, no, I'm not going to press charges. You can go check out his rap sheet if you'd like. Oh, and that brings me back to that one girl at the pool. I believe that's one of the girls. So there, as far as having to know like who knows who. I just went ahead and showed you who knows who. And I wanted to look more in the aspect of, could there have been any beefs? Because it just grabbed my attention that Kaylee was liking posts of somebody. Then all of a sudden, they're not even remotely following each other. So why is Kaylee liking this post? Where's this coming from? 6 or 7 years ago? It's a long time ago. So back to this whole thing, like Demetrius, he's running an operation. The girls are simply using like weekend type party stuff. I remember I did an episode, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and I said, hey, when you want to get your hair cut and you go to college, who do you ask? You ask hey, do you live here? Like, who do you get your hair cut from? Like, that type of stuff's going to be the same thing what I would think with drugs. Like, you're going to go get your drugs off of somebody like on the side of the road who you have no idea about, or you're going to ask your sorority brothers and sisters, like, what's up? I know people out there think that girls don't buy drugs or whatever. Let me tell you something. If any of these girls are like smart and side hustlers, okay, which I think that, yeah, they are. Kaylee's dad said like she's a hustler. Like she's going to make that money. Well, if she sees all these twerps doing all this stuff and she's like, well, here, I'll make the extra money. Because they're going to buy it anyways. Like, they don't know how much they're paying for it. So I'm going to tell them $20. It's like no different than like when we would say we're having a keg party. We're charging all the freshmen $20 per person. And we go and pick up this keg and we pay for the keg. And then we all made $150 because we're charging all these people $20, you know, and they're having like 3 beers and woo, they're gone. So, but when it was a tight knit, okay? I really have to emphasize this. You're throwing in the mix a whole new dynamic at that house. These aren't people that have known each other for very long. The only people that would have known each other for very long, Kaylee, Xana, Maddie, because they knew each other from back home. But Dylan and Bethany, like, yes, Bethany would have known Maddie for 1 year and Xana would have known Bethany for a year. Same thing with Dylan. Versus 3 or 4 years with the house before and a type of like, you know, trust level. And you're just mixing too many people all of a sudden into this mix of, and then you have people at your house. You don't even know who's there. I bet you the parties are way different the past, you know, at the beginning of the first 2.5 months, even that summer. Like, who are these people, right? Because you got these seniors, and if you have a house of young people, how do I know these freshmen and sophomores if I'm a senior? Especially if they're not like in the sorority, or if they're just starting to rush or whatever. Shit, they weren't even there. They're over there at the corner club. So I can also tell you this. If you think that Brian Koberger is working, okay, with local town people that moved out 2 years ago, I mean, these people are living in LA, California area. It's illegal to sell weed there, and that's what they do. That's what I think that they do. But I think I don't think that there was any mixing here. I think either Brian Koberger did this and that's the route that it is, or that he did not do it. Because I don't see a guy that just moves across from the other side of the country coming over and how he is able to intermingle with people that have had their there's shit going on for a couple years, you're just gonna like bring what Brian Kohlberger into the mix of and do what with? That makes no sense. In fact, I just think he would give off different. He wouldn't give solid vibes to people for that. And then I have to mention this. This kid, Jesse, man. Jesse is connected to every single person. He is liking every picture. And guess what? He is the damn general manager of EcoShield in, where is it at? Is he in Austin? He's, but he's everywhere. Just click on him and follow Mr. Jesse over here. But either everybody loves Jesse or Jesse loves everybody, and he's just pumping his EcoShield, you know. But I just had to get a laugh out of that. EcoShield. I'm telling you, EcoShield's a big thing. Yeah, no, Emma wasn't attending. Emma dropped out a long time ago. Emma was not attending any of these schools. Emma was in Chicago, then she's over in Seattle. Then she's traveling all over. California, Mexico. These people were all over. These people think that they're read this. Emma thinks that she's an aspiring actress, model. Yeah, I see. I can't get over this. Liked by Kaylee. Liked by Kaylee. And then it's like, poof. I gotta go check out Kaylee's to see if there's any likes on hers from. It just takes a long time to go through all their stuff. BK is smart, not a criminal, in my opinion. Saying from Rumble. I don't know how smart Emma is. Did you see that interview when she's here? Let's go back to this. Who was Dylan and how does she fit in any of this? Well, that's the thing. Who approached Dylan and said, hey, do you want to come live with us? How'd that happen? Who approached? Why not just not live in the house and go and get an apartment if you're Maddie? And live with Kaylee in an apartment. Why keep that house? But yeah, sources, it's very, very, they're brutally honest about it. The guys in the fraternity, Emma Bailey, selling to them over the past couple years, and Xana. And it was hobbies. It was to Xana was like a hobby. It wasn't like she was running some, Breaking Bad stacks on stacks on stacks. According to the anonymous sources. But this happens really, really quickly, guys. This happens really, really quickly. Like at the end of August, they start school. So then you have September, you have 4 weeks. So think about you have 4 weekends, okay? Then you have October, which are 4 weekends, maybe a fifth because of the 31st. So 9. Say you have 9 weekends. And you have basically every other week would be like a home football game. What are the odds that a guy moves across the country from Pennsylvania, happens to land eyes on this house with these people? Meanwhile, all of this other stuff is going on as well. Like that these girls would be mixed up with, yeah, it is the party house. Yeah, it's where people score stuff. But it's people that know you. You're not, people that don't know you aren't going up to and ringing the doorbell at 1122 and saying, hey, can I get some heroin? Can I get some coke? That's not what's happening. And per the anonymous sources that, Emma brought it to you. Emma's driving around. Well, that sounds very, very similar to what was going on Saturday late night of someone driving around. Like these vehicles coming and going. But what are the odds of all of the things that were going on? You have, Kaylee broke up with Jack. Maddie's boyfriend he's moved to Boise. You have the 2 girls that start doing steroids from the house that are best friends with, Emma and them, and go from being petite girls to just now we're getting jacked out of our ass. I mean, that's insanity. It's a very, very disciplined lifestyle. All these new things. And then we move in 2 sophomores that normally aren't supposed to be, like they stay in a house on campus, but here they're going to come into this house. We're down a roommate. How did we lose our 6th roommate? Was there a blowout? I don't know. But so we have 6 bedrooms here, but we're only going to occupy 5 of them. They're throwing parties at the house when allegedly the girls are at the corner club. So who's even in the house, or were they just lying? I don't think I think the older ones weren't there, and the younger ones didn't come to the door because they're underage. But it's like everybody's doing their own thing, and that's not how it was in the past. That's not how the lifestyle was with these girls. These other people, they did all this stuff together. And then everyone could say, well, why didn't they? Why weren't they all hanging out together? Well, because they're not all of age to hang out together. Kaylee and Maddie are the only ones who go to Corner Club. So in a matter of 9 weeks, Brian Koberger is able to find the house that literally has all of this turnover going on, all of this all these different moving parts. He was able to find the house that he could just get in and get out. No one's going to call 911. And then when they wake up in the morning, they're going to start calling friends at 9:30 and not call the police until midnight or noon rather. I mean, does any of that sound and then he's going to know what bedrooms who's in when these girls just had moved in. Nobody wanted to believe me when I put out there that Dylan was on the 2nd floor. Everybody thought we were crazy. I'm like, watch. So And he's doing all of this and plotting this and putting in how many hours over there at the university? And then not one of these frat guys, not one of these sorority girls. Nobody has come forward to say that they've ever seen him, heard of his name. Nothing. None of these dudes. So it wasn't like Brian was trying to fit in at these parties, or you never heard anybody talk about this guy. No one's come forward to say, oh God, that's that, when you would see his picture then. Oh my God, we know him as Tommy or something like that. Nothing. Thank you there, John. No one is not a neighbor. And then I got to go back to what Shannon Gray said. And Shannon Gray said that we kind of had a feeling that there was about an identification. And I'm thinking to myself, you thought there was an identification. I don't think that there's been an ID. I'm sorry, but bushy eyebrows is not an ID. Bushy eyebrows, 6'5", 6 foot and skinny. Or are they talking about something else? I don't know. Because I think what Shannon Gray was alluding to is that maybe that's why nobody was talking to the family as far as the roommates, because they couldn't talk about anything because of what they had saw, which would, be the perpetrator. And then I have to scratch my head at this. And I do believe the anonymous sources that came forward. I do believe that group chats and stuff were starting to talk around that 9:30 a.m. Well, were these people under the impression that the cops had already been called? Because they're being notified of something that happened at the 1122 King Road house. So did these people think that the cops had been called? Because nobody called the cops. Nobody called the cops for 2.5 hours. It wouldn't just be, at that point, you got to throw it out. You can't just say, why didn't Maddie call the police? Or not Maddie, but Dylan or Bethany. At that point, now you have multiple people that would have known about this. Well, none of them called the police? Oh, they're speaking tomorrow there, Wanda. We're working on making sure that all of the voices can be, distorted and things like that. You know how the internet psychos can be. No, they want to speak out. They want to speak up. They want to fight for the truth. There's just things that don't add up. They have questions, and when they ask questions, it's frowned upon. And that's just sad to hear that. So, but think about all the stuff that was, going on, that they decided to walk down from the corner club that night and go to the grub truck, right? And that here we see video of this guy that looks like he's stalking them or following them, right? Think about all these things that happen. Somebody's just saying that they changed the locks. Everybody wanted to talk about, Xana's dad said that he had to change the locks. Well, I can tell you it wasn't because of Brian Kohlberger. So from my understanding, somebody wouldn't turn over their key. And so therefore, that's when the locks got changed. I won't mention any names, but it definitely wasn't a guy. It was a girl. So all this stuff is going on, all this weirdness. And when I'm saying the weirdness, I'm saying there was fallouts. You know, when people get into fights or they have the word fallout. Hey, I don't talk to that person anymore. We had a fallout. That's what I see. I see fallouts. It's proven. There was a fallout in the relationship between Kaylee and Jack. That's a fallout. Like that. Everything in these girls' lives were changing. And nothing was going as planned. I can't possibly think that, you know, Maddie had to know that these girls were graduating. So, Maddie, where are you going to live? And you would already start, you know, oh, yeah, no, I'm going to keep the house. But you're going to ask people to move in with you that normally would be in the house as sophomores. So when you want to go to like this bar or that bar or go drink or whatever out of place, like they can't go. The only person to go and do that with you would be Kaylee. I think News Nation was outsourced for the was anyone else arrested thing. I think that's just silly. We don't even know if he said that. What have I missed? A falling out? Oh yeah, there's a ton of fallouts. Just, you know, there's a fallout, guys. That house has 6 bedrooms. 6 people lived there this year. Why was there only 5 there and then Kaylee's gonna move out? Well, when did they know that? Because now you're taking a house down to 4 people. Okay. And they were so excited to live together. Like, I'm sorry, but I don't believe that was the plan all along. My gut is telling me no way. Because I would think that she would want to, like, you've been waiting for that opportunity to, like, live with your bestie. Unless something happened. Especially because Kaylee and Maddie was living with Jake in Boise. Jake was following Dylan. Dylan was following Jake on Instagram. I thought that was interesting, but I think it's because when he was out in Boise that summer, Maddie was out there, and I think that they were all hanging out there. A lot of their friends were a year older than them, as you can see, that house. And then these are your locals. That's Emma's best friend. Emma's even tagged in it. She's not in the picture, though. He's friends with a ton of people. That's her stepbrother. These two ended up getting married, you know, blending this family. That's her boyfriend. And they moved to Cali, where I believe that they run a very successful weed business, and they're allowed to because it's legal there. I mean, it's successful to the point that either you're racking up credit cards, okay, but the lifestyle that you're living, or that you say that you're living on social media. So, Hector is in focus. Perhaps you should type your documents in a larger font to help those with less than perfect eyesight. Yeah, I guess I could probably do that, but hey. Hector, let's see. Hector can just zoom in. What do you need to see? You want to see some booty? But that's your house last year. They knew. Right here, Kendra bodybuilder. These 2 girls right next to each other on the end. Look at how they're petite. Oh, they just got jacked. They're doing legs today, and I'm sure they're sore. Oh, what about it? I don't believe anything that they put out about that. That happened literally the day after Brian left with his dad. I think that people that are vets should get together and demand some answers, get some body cam footage. They won't give us anything. What else? Who else was there? Going back to if you just joined us right here. I want to know what's going on at the Mad Greek restaurant. Again, Aiden. She worked at Mad Greek as a waitress. 2017, 2019. That's the same time frame that that Kaylee was liking her posts. I think they knew each other though because of her grandma. She would go and be at on the waterfront property. Oopsies. Everybody's hanging out at Mad Greek. What else? I mean, I think that you also have to look at. I would like to know when the drugs were purchased by Caden Young if he bought from Emma Bailey. Did he buy while he was in Moscow or in Pullman or in Tacoma and like the Seattle area? Because that's a drive. That's a long. I think that they had territory in Seattle and they had territory in WSU's campus and then Moscow, but Demetrius is from that Tacoma area. So I think that he had his product in the Seattle area as well as WSU and then Moscow. But Emma Bailey, I mean, she's driving all over. You saw where she got her DUI. It was in Pullman. And that was on February 13th. Then she just goes, literally not even like a month later, she's in Seattle, driving around slinging, distributing stuff out there. I'm going to find out when I'm there all about the coffee house apartments to see who was really living there and what's up. I told you guys I'm going to go inside I'm going to kick it with my girls. I'm hanging out with the WSU sorority. What was it? The Asian sorority. Mm-hmm. You guys, I'm going to be taller than some people, man. Lana, can we map the exit route compared to Emma's address? Well, which address? She's got a couple addresses. I want to know where that safe was, but we could probably do that another show. Yeah. Yeah, Brent has an address here in Ohio that he lived at. What 22-year-old has $500 cash in their safe? Oh, she had way more than that. What 22-year-old has a safe like that you have it all like locked up like that? That's the question. No offense, but you don't need to go get a safe like that. You know, you can keep a couple $100 in your purse. Okay, guys. You get a heavy duty safe like that when you need to store some product too. It's not just, in my opinion, cash. But then again, what do I know? I'm not a big drug dealer over here. Yes, the safe was beside her bed, and I believe that she gave her brother the passcode, and it was her brother that went and did all that for her. Nobody's disputing any of this. Yes, Emma and Demetrius were at the party that Caden OD'd at. I wouldn't be surprised if Demetrius was the one that was the promoter of the party. That's what he did. He promoted these type of parties. He threw these type of parties, and then they use those type of parties to sell them their drugs. If you think about it, wouldn't that go hand in hand? But this is the thing: is that he then resuscitates, CPR, and it's Emma and Demetrius that take him to the hospital. He is then cleared fine come 2:00 in the morning. And then they take this route. And this seems off to me. Where is it? Papers. Then they take this route. So they're partying up here in Seattle. Okay. And his friend comes and picks him up at the Harbor View Medical Center. And then they go back to the 3000 block, Borst Avenue. And that is 1 hour and 21-minute drive. And it's right here. All the way down here. And I said, well, who plans to party their balls off in Seattle up here? And then think at the end of the night, let's say if they don't OD or do anything like that, do they have a hotel that they were staying at? Because who's making that 1 hour and 21-minute trip, 84 miles? These are the apartments. And so if you think about it, did they have extra of the drugs that they had purchased and they were like, okay, well, we'll just do this when we get back to the house? Well, what type of party drug was it? Yeah. Was it Coke that was laced? Was it, I don't know. But I'm saying that if you're driving an hour and 21 minutes, like you're going to be, your buzz is probably gone. Everything's gone. You get back to these like quiet out middle of nowhere apartments. And you just get back there and you're just like, all right, let's just start snorting Coke and playing video games. I mean, or did you leave the hospital and you stay out in this area partying some more? Because he was fine when he left the hospital. And then his friend said that when he went to attempt to go to sleep and fall asleep, that's when this happened. So just all of that whole storyline doesn't make any sense to me. And normally if it doesn't make sense, it's because it's not the right storyline. You know, I thought that too. I think that he re-overdosed on the same drug. It happens to a lot of people. And is it because they just think that they took too much, not realizing that no, it was just what was in it, you know? But I'm personally just curious when that happened, because where they called 911 to come and find him at 9 o'clock in the morning. So what that tells me is you didn't go to bed till 9 o'clock in the morning. So that also leads me to believe that you left the hospital and you went to go party some more. I'm curious at what time that they actually left the Seattle area, that hospital, and where they went after the hospital. Because the story that I got was that it was that when he went to bed, and as he was going to bed, he just like stops breathing. And then the police were called, or 911, and that was at 9 a.m. Well, that tells me somebody that was like pulling like an all-nighter partying. And then to set up the buy, I would like to know the date and the time for all of that. Because that didn't happen right when they left the I'll be shocked if that happened like, that same night. I don't think that's what happened. They were just watching him go to sleep. I think probably the story is that he began to overdose. I mean, I wasn't there. I'm going to turn it over to you guys. Any other, what you guys think? What questions do you guys have? Or what do you think? Me personally, I see the connections. I see who was friends with who, how all of this went down in terms of when you're talking about getting stuff. Well, Emma Bailey, that's your connect. Emma Bailey and Dee and these girls that were living at 1122 King Road were friends with Emma Bailey. And then the anonymous sources are saying that, yes, Emma Bailey and Xana, we bought drugs off of them. We bought drugs off of them. I'm not making that up. Daniel can tell you the same thing. We vetted, and these are accurate. These are people. These are real people. And they're not happy. They want some answers. And I think that they should get some answers if they want some answers. Lana, do you know how far between where Caden died and address? So they were arrested on the 23rd. And that was, I have that sheet here. They were in Des Moines, Washington, which is like up over on this side. So it'll be like up like this. Let me take this down. The better question is, whose apartment were they at when they got picked up? They were over here. Drunk turkey handled himself today with Grace, and did anyone discussing the kid that talked? Yep. Yeah, because these kids' lives were completely like, I mean, can you just imagine that? And that's why I think that it's their story to tell, and I think that they should have a place to say that. And they shouldn't be, it shouldn't be frowned upon for them to talk about their experience. Especially, I mean, I think we heard it, like Mr. Gonzalez said it. Even the police were saying it. Hey guys, we don't care about the activities that were going on. Okay. We want to talk to you guys about, like, we're not here to, no one's here to get you guys in trouble for these activities, but we just need you to come forward and talk about X, Y, and Z. Basically turn over your pictures, turn over anything that can help us map something out. Even if no one's here to get you in trouble for anything illegal activity. Okay. So if that's the case, I don't think that these kids should be in trouble for talking about the truth, because they already pretty much said that. Like, let's get to the bottom of what happened. And the only way that you do that is by letting people be truthful. And painting a half truth, that's a narrative. Because I do think if, depending on who you're dealing with, if somebody's under the impression that you're stealing their clientele or taking their money, but anybody that somebody would have had a problem with in that house because they were murdered, these people, they were brutally stabbed to death. This just screams personal to me. I don't know. Yep. Great way to say it there. And then I think somebody bought some memberships. Who did that?
Ducking felonies got 5.
Oh, there you go. Thank you. And I don't know, I just think that they should be able to, the students should be able to ask questions, and they should also be able to tell something that happened. Lana, if they didn't know BK and this was a setup, how would his DNA be on Sheath? I mean, they're going to have to explain how that DNA got there. It's touch DNA. I think that they're going to have some answers for that. I do think that, but I think that you're just going to have to wait it all out. What those answers, are. I think for me, I don't even know if it's going to be admissible. Dawn Daniels pretty much told us that she didn't want them to use that DNA. You'd have to ask Dawn Daniels why she said that. I've never heard of anybody coming forward and saying that if you have reason to believe that you obtained it legally. I don't understand that, but she wasn't in Pennsylvania, so I'm just curious to know what she heard and who told her that she would ever say that. I think Dawn Daniels did the right thing, absolutely, but I'm just curious the information that she got for her to say that. But for me, I want to know what's in the vehicle. I want to know what the forensics brings back on the vehicle. Let's see. Toy says, I think Brian did it and he did it all alone, but I have an open mind to keep searching information. Well, then my question is what makes you feel that Brian did it? What evidence is there that points to Brian? Yes, Julian, I did read that. Yeah. This is a good live tonight. Oh, thank you there, Denise. Hopefully you're doing well, love. You're always here for it. Yeah, Sandra, I do think there's a lot of layers to this case because I think when you have 4 people that were stabbed, it's not just one victim, it's 4. And then I think something that they came out and said, and I think it was just maybe to keep the community, at bay, would be the whole like targeted thing. But I think your layers come when you have the 4 victims. For me, it's more so that you have 2 survivors that were, what you're telling me and the rest of the world is that they were there. And I find it hard to believe that if whoever did this wouldn't have walked past Dylan's room and wouldn't have tried to go in there at least one time. Or if the door was open, whatever the case may be, but I don't think that it was locked. How do you know not to go in there? How do you know not to go to the first level? I mean, these are things that are very specific. And that to me is maybe where like the target comes into play, but you're going to leave 2 witnesses. I don't know. I mean, so let's see. I mean, how did Brian know that none of these people were going to call the police? How did the perp know, or multiple? I mean, the police weren't called for how many hours? Why'd they say 3 to 4 originally, and then now it's 4 to 4:25? But I'm curious to know people that are out there and, the people that are saying like that Brian Kohlberger's guilty. I just want to know what's the strongest pieces of evidence. I'm not saying that he's innocent. I'm not saying that he's guilty. I'm saying that I believe that we're supposed to go in with you were innocent until proven guilty. And because that's what our country, that's how the justice system is set up. And so for me, it's so difficult when I hear everybody out there talk the opposite way. I don't understand why people that are in law enforcement and that are running, even multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar companies that are media, why the focal point wouldn't be what our criminal justice system is built off of, which is innocent until proven guilty. What evidence do you have that we don't have that says that, we have no weapon, we have no eyewitness identification, we have no surveillance cameras with him physically, we have nobody that knows him. We don't have, the blood. We don't have the forensics back inside the car. I want to know out there what people saw. What is it? Have they done some big massive search for this weapon? Because I don't think that they have. Where was, did I miss it here? Oh, there it is. There you go. What evidence is there that BK did it? Because Ashley Banfield said so. I just think it's fair. I think it's a fair debate. I'll debate anybody about that. As far as like procedure and stuff goes, I welcome anybody to come on the show to talk about how procedurally things should be done. But I'm saying right now, they arrested Brian Culver because they have more than the PCA is saying. Okay. That's what everybody wants to believe. That's what the police are saying. That's fine. That's fine. I don't care what they have. Okay. I just know that I'm reading pieces of paper that say that the defense does not have X, Y, and Z. And one of those big things to me is the forensics inside the vehicle. Okay. That's huge. 4 people were brutally stabbed to death, blood everywhere. That car should have blood in it. Traces of it, no? How about Brian Culver sweating it all and him sweating on anything and dripping his sweat on from his, forehead or the side of like where his sideburns would be or something like that. Like, how about him licking his lips or like spit coming out when he like, I guess you could say he was wearing a mask. But any of the victims that were, that woke up or were alive, were they able to dig their fingernails into him? I just want people to prove it to me. And I'm not ignorant to the fact that if you brought back the car and it has all this forensic inside of it and the victim's blood, you got hair, you think I'm going to be like, oh, that's planted? No, I'm going to say, well, yeah, that's pretty damning. Okay, I'm going to be like, okay, well, where was it located? How much is there? Okay. Like you weigh it all out. You weigh the evidence. But I also want to know about these people's lives. And I know that you don't have to prove motive. But at the end of the day, whoever did this walked into that house, they had a reason. What was the reason? They'll never justify doing anything they ever did. And it could just be like, hey, they're crazy, they're psycho. Okay. Or a scorned person or a drug deal going wrong. Something, right? There is a reason that this happened. Not saying that there's a good reason, but and then why were Bethany and Dylan spared? Especially where Dylan's bedroom was located. He walked past that 3 times, at least. that door, the most accessible door in that whole house from his entry point if he came in that slider. He's going past it to go upstairs. He's going past it to go over where Ethan and Xana were. And then he's going past it to leave. That's 3 times. Why wouldn't he go in there? And then people could say he didn't have a reason to go in there. How does he know that he doesn't have a reason to go in there? How does he know who's in there? How does he know that maybe Kaylee or Maddie, if they were this target, that they weren't in that room? How did this person have so much intel? And I only say this because if they're there, if Dylan's there and she's in her room, she never talks about, did he try to go in that bedroom? And then it's not talked about when he walked past her, allegedly clad in all black. You know, there is no talk about this person. Did they have a knife in their hand? Were they bloody? Because I'll tell you what, you go through all these people's social medias, this is what everybody looks like on just a regular Tuesday, a regular Wednesday. They're all dressed like this, playing tricks on each other. Where is it? Let's see. Truth and transparency. I mean, we got. If you walked in there, everybody says that somebody walked in there with the intent to do that. Okay. That they had all intentions of killing when they went in there, right? Why? Where does that come from? If you walked in there and you had a knife with you and there was a sheath, what would be for me intent to kill would be if I was in my car, I grab my knife, I take my sheath, I throw it in the car, I have my knife, and I go in there. But having the sheath with you, that means like the knife was protected and put away. But then when they leave, they know that that they had the sheath. So when they're leaving and they're like, oh shit, where am I supposed to put this knife? Or where's my sheath? Oh God. Like that doesn't, like bells don't go off. Hey, can I grab right here? Great live. Glad I got to see it live. I usually watch replay. Thanks, Eric. Appreciate that. Thanks, love and peace. And then, okay, let's say that like I want to throw it the other way, which is, okay, if I'm the prosecution and this is my guy, right? I'm going to tell you guys what I think that they should probably have if this is their guy. I want to know why they put in the PCA that they didn't believe that even though Brian's phone pinged on the 14th, they said that we don't believe that he was there. And so we threw this answer to one of the retired police officers out of LA.
So he obviously doesn't know because he doesn't have what this is. He said, could be a couple of different things with a long explanation and without more info. I couldn't say which one. Could be a ghost ping, a covert app, switching SIM cards between devices, and he could have had some trouble with his phone, someone else travel with his phone, and a few others. But obviously they have an answer and it's not serious enough for them not to file. He says sometimes the smart ones outsmart themselves.
So basically what this is about is it's about on that Monday, on the 14th. So what I think is Brian is teaching, because he has to teach classes on Monday. And at the time that he was teaching, okay, his phone is pinging in Moscow, and that's why they're saying, well, we don't believe that his phone was there, but we don't believe that he was there. Or the ping happened, but we don't believe that that's where he was located. But how did Brian get that to even happen on the 14th during that time? Like, how was he able to get that to happen? So for me, I think I'm going to need to be ready to talk about any type of connection. How'd he come across this house? He just moved here from PA. Oh. Yeah, where is that? It's over here. Right here. Investigators found that the 8458 phone did connect to a cell phone tower that provides service to Moscow on November 14th. They don't say what time though, but investigators do not believe the 8458 phone was in Moscow on that date. The 8458 phone was not connected to any towers that provide service to Moscow since that date. Okay, so they're saying that the phone pinged on the 14th, which is that Monday, but investigators do not believe the 8458 phone was in Moscow that day. So I'm curious as to why they even put this in, but I think it's for a reason. But they're saying that they don't even believe that the 8458 phone was there. So, and I think that's because he was teaching at that time. So he's physically in that room, but just because he's in that room doesn't mean his phone couldn't have been, here, take my phone and take a loop, go over there, and they'll be all, confused. But you're really going to tell me there could have been like this guy that has a glitch that next day? I mean, this is just some wild stuff. I think that Brian's not familiar with that area, so he didn't have his phone. So I think something for me is all the circumstantial stuff. You have a FBI agent that identified 2 different vehicles. So I'd be prepared for that. Like, how are you linking the WSU white Elantra to the Moscow white Elantra when you have 22,000 vehicles? How do you link those two? That they're the same vehicle, especially when you have like these big gaps of time lapsing. That if he's like driving along. I thought the pings covered a large area. Oh yeah, no, they do. They cover a large area. That's why the pings, this isn't GPS. Like, nothing that they're talking about here is GPS. And then if you're the prosecutor and you get the forensics back and there's nothing in this car, there's nothing in the car, what are you going to say? He had all the time to clean it, right? Well, then you better have experts that can talk about what he would have used to clean it, what other traces came back in the vehicle that could possibly allude to the fact that he cleaned with certain things, I guess. I don't know. I would just be prepared that if that came back negative, and then the argument's going to be made, well, why didn't you go in the vehicle when you had it, when you came across it on 11/29, or at any point between 11/29 to 12, 13? before he left. He kills 4 within 10 minutes, goes to work, gets a haircut, goes to the doctor, and nobody notices a scratch or odd behavior. Pure fiction at every corner. Why would law enforcement be so convinced, that it was him? Like, I just believe that his thing should have been put into a like when you're going across people, and okay, we have to put him over here for a second because his phone didn't ping during the 3 to 5. Oh, and so what I was saying before was if he didn't have a phone and his phone was turned off, and the way that he would have left about and went, why did he turn on his phone at like 4 o'clock, 4:28 or whatever it was? What do you think the purpose was for that? Why didn't he just leave his phone off the whole time? You know what I'm saying? If he is the guy, you're going to sit here and tell me that a guy that studies cloud-based forensics, you don't just think to go purchase some shitty ass burner. What did he even need his phone to be on for? What did he need? Think about it. Like if it was you, wouldn't you know that you couldn't turn it on? Just truly think about this. You're in a vehicle and like, oh my God, like what happened? Was somebody you were supposed to meet, they weren't there at the meeting spot, so you had to turn your phone on to call somebody? I mean, he has to know how in depth what he does for a living. What it's capable of, like all this research that you, and all the technology that you have, and what the police and then the FBI can get their hands on. So, because I guess my question would be this: if Brian Kohlberger never turns his phone back on, okay, until let's say 9 o'clock in the morning, and he turns it on, he just was like, well, my phone died in the middle of the night while I was sleeping. You know how many times my phone dies in the middle of the night while I'm sleeping? It does that all the time. I'm sitting there watching a movie, and then I wake up in the morning and my phone's dead because it died during the middle of the night when it was continuing to run and it wasn't plugged in. So then I plug my phone in and then I turn it on. So I didn't shut my phone off. It just died. So you have a guy that knows all that. So why turn your phone on? Do you think something happened that he needed to turn it on? And then why not just you have a burner? You think he was lost and needed to GPS himself? I mean, I don't know. I'm just asking because it doesn't make any sense. But this is what this guy is like all about. He shuts his phone off and then he decides to turn his phone on, and that's a head scratcher there for me. I mean, this is the one thing though that people can say. This would be the one thing of your plan though that you could not, like, this is just a no-brainer. You're driving away. You're on the highway. Did he accidentally plug his phone in and didn't realize that when he plugged his phone on that it turned his phone on? Did he accidentally just plug his phone into the charger because it's out of he's OCD about things, or you're just pattern. Your human behavior is, so he just grabs it and he, plugs the phone and not realizing that it turned it on. And then are they going to be able to show what apps he was using at that time? So think about that. Then you get to look and see what apps he was using. But I guess for me, it is at the end of the day, I mean, that's everything that this guy does. And then how hard was it for law enforcement if they're over here, like, they got to rule out all these people that they do know, okay, that are connected to the case, meaning like the victims or the roommates that are the survivors. So how do you eliminate all of those people to then you start looking at that next layer? Yeah, I just keep telling people to go and think about everything that happened at the Murdaugh murders. That's that. And then guys, think about this. Let me ask you guys this. Think about this. So you're going to sit here and tell me, just talk about the odds of this. Talk about like, wow. You're going to sit here and tell me that in and out, like Jason Bourne killing the 4 people in that amount of time, gets out of there, manages not to leave a blood trail, not to be seen on any of the cameras, personally, like his body. It gets in a vehicle. Right now, we don't know what's inside of it, if there was any forensics or not, but that you shut your phone off, then you drive away. 30 minutes later, you turn it on, then you make this big old loop, totally going the opposite way, okay? And then you make a loop to come back around, and then you go back to, your dorm or your apartment that's on campus. Then you wake up in the morning after just a couple hours. Who even knows if you went to sleep? But then you drive back over so that you can ping on a MASKcow tower around 9:12 a.m. And then you're right back. I mean, you literally drive over to MASKcow. It's like you're dropping somebody off almost. And then you drive right back to, Pullman. And then you're out like grocery shopping and doing all of that. But while this is all happening, while you're doing this, Brian Koberger is doing this, what are then the odds that 911 was never called when Dylan never saw, or like any of the screaming, nothing, and then still isn't called when people are waking up, so much so that all these other people are getting text messages beginning around like 9:30 in the morning. And then 2.5 hours after that point is when the police then are notified. So how are you going to, like, it's just, wow, what a coincidence. Talk about, like, I mean, what great luck for Brian. I mean, if why aren't you waking up in the morning and seeing something like that and calling the police? I mean, 2.5 hours is a long time, guys. Should I think waiting like 15 minutes would be? But then your phone's going to be able to say like who was texting who and who called who and how many steps you took with your phone. And then then you're interviewing these people then that next day, and God knows what they were saying, and that none of it made any sense with the data. Then when they finally got the data back, that they had to have people back in there to say, okay, we're going to talk about this again because, X, Y, and Z. Why would you feel that you had to lie about? I mean, I would just be, I don't even know if I could. Why would you even need to think that you need to lie? What was going on in these people's lives that you had to take 2.5 hours? Like, what did these people think? What did they think happened? And I think that's where kind of like the Bethany story is going to come into play is who did y'all think did this? What was going on that you needed to do that you wouldn't call the police for 2.5 hours? And you can't sit here and tell me you guys think it's because you had to move some drugs and some money. That doesn't take 2.5 hours, you guys. You do understand that. I mean, what do you think? There was just blow all over the place? And I don't get that. You guys can say, okay, you're moving drugs. You guys, what do you think that there's moving? And where were these drugs at? But all of this is happening. Well, so all that's happening because they need to hide all this drug stuff, apparently. That wouldn't take 2.5 hours. And then you have to ask yourself this. It's not then just the roommates that didn't call 911. If all these other people were notified and they went there and they saw that, who isn't saying, I'm calling the police? What are you doing? And how are you able to control people to say, don't you dare call the fucking police? Put the phone down. How are you able to control people like that? How are you able to say to somebody else, why aren't we calling the police? What are you doing? What are you talking about? Why can't we call the police? I don't know. We have to call the Greek people because remember, we're always supposed to call them first. And then they got to come over here and tell us what to do. I mean, this isn't on campus. This didn't happen in a sorority house or a fraternity house. This happened in a rental, which my personal opinion, I don't know if all those girls were still in those sororities. So what are you going to do? Go talk to the sorority that kicked people out or that they're on probation with? I don't know. But there's got to be a lot of paper trail with that because you can't sit here and tell me that you think that none of these people, if you texted me and said, oh my God, I just got over to so-and-so's house and there's blood everywhere. Everyone's dead. Oh my God. I'd be like, what? Are the police there? How are they killed? What's going on? Yeah. I would think maybe that the cops were already called. That's what I would think. Why would I think that nobody would call the cops or that the police or the ambulance or anything?
If you get there at 9, what do you think by 12? You'd be like, are the cops coming?
Oh no, I'm saying if I'm working and you're texting my group message and I'm seeing stuff like, oh my God, that's, there's somebody broke into the house and shot up the place and killed everybody because that's what they thought But you would be looking at those messages. And do you think that anybody was like, dude, stop fucking around? Haha, really funny. Because they all like to play jokes on each other. So do you think that could have been a reaction? Because I think that could be a reaction. I'd be like, what are you talking about?
Well, when we first were looking at this, we thought that if we lived in that house and someone masked came in with a knife, our first reaction would be it's a Joe, like a frat Joe. But yeah.
Getting stories straight, washing clothes to get rid of evidence, showering to get rid of evidence. The two surviving roommates might have had a heads up. Grad school is totally different. Terrific, wonderful experience in undergrad. I think the point of what I'm saying is how could Brian Kohlberger get so fucking lucky if he's the one, right? How do you get so lucky that they didn't call the cops when you left out of the place, even though you were seen? Then they wake up, they still don't call the cops. And then 3 more hours go by, and then they call the cops. What? Now, let's say that Brian Kohlberger did it, right? And you hear all of this stuff because Brian Kohlberger wasn't arrested for how long? So he's seeing all of this stuff come out. Like, well, this alleged stuff. And he knows the truth. Like, he knows what time he did it, right? He knows what he did and where he went. And he knows if there was a sheath that he ever even had when he walked in there or didn't have. Or he knows the order that he killed everybody in, right? He knows all these things, right? So do you think he was not like wondering what the hell's going on? I mean, he's peeing off of a tower at 9:12 a.m. and people think that he came back to the scene. Came back to the scene. So now why? You're supposed to like, what did he think he was going to see? Everybody standing outside it roped off. He pulls up over there. It's quiet as can be. Do you think that he was ever just like, oh my God, maybe I was dreaming. Maybe I didn't kill anybody. Like what? Like what's going on here? What's he waiting to get a vandal alert or an alert, like anything? Like, I mean, don't you think that that's all going to be if his phone, but he goes over there still. If allegedly this is what people think that he went over to there to, to show back up at the crime scene. Well, what kind of makes sense to me is when somebody drives somewhere late at night to possibly pick somebody up as a booty call and then drops them back off. That's what makes sense to me in college on a Saturday night is that's a booty call. I don't. And then if you guys really think that he drove past the house, the 1122 King, hello, there's all these cameras. So like the Ring camera would pick this up. Do they have a white Elantra? Like they don't talk about that at all. In fact, they don't talk about anything in the PCA to do with cars coming and going at the residence that morning. I like Dre Latina's like definitely booty call. That's what I've been thinking. And I was like, yeah, Dre Latina, I love it. You guys, that's like the walk of shame. I want to know what everybody was wearing when they were killed. Were they in pajamas? And when I say pajamas, just were they in different clothing than they were in all the surveillance that we see? Because I think that's going to be important. If I'm going to bed, I'm changing my clothes. What did anybody shower? Did people take off their makeup? Like, I'm sorry, but if you don't take off your makeup and you do that as like a habit, your face is going to be one broken out. But everything is circumstantial unless, the only thing that's hanging on to a thread there is that is that sheath. And what about all the other DNA that's going to be in the house?
Explains people just coming.
Who are these people? Sorry, guys. These are the new sweatpants for my channel. Stop looking at my dick, and then on the back it's going to say truth and transparency on the ass. So they're just modeling my new line. Hopefully you guys think it's cool and you want to buy a pair. They're going to come in all colors. So, but these people are, on a serious note, this is from 80 weeks ago. This is some locals, like Halloween costumes, and flaunting a bunch of $100 bills. And this is Emma Bailey's best friend and her boyfriend. That's who that is. So those of you guys that are coming in. But everybody in Moscow has I think a mask fetish. But here, we'll put up a white Elantra instead. What the sweats hitting faux what? Faux yeah. I think that those sweats are hilarious. Stop looking at my dick. Come on, that's funny. Stop looking at my dick.
I'm gonna get you some.
I just want to know where she got them. But here's a question for you. If you look at this in a mask, take a look. Oopsies. Take a look. Does that look like a girl? Can you tell if that's a girl? When you see that down here, can you tell, that that's a guy? Again, if she... So, I know. I think I'm gonna get a pair. I really want to be my new line. Transparency across the booty, and then on the front it says "Stop looking at my dick."
I want transparency anywhere where it says "Don't look at my peen."
So again, I think when someone's like in a mask like that, it's hard to tell female, male. But yeah, I was trying to look at your guys' questions over here or comments, but what's the evidence that hey, all those Brian Koberger is a sick son of a bitch, guilty is all get up. Tell me what evidence says it. And some of you guys may just feel like, well, the police would not be arresting him if it wasn't him. Maybe you're that type, but I'm just curious.
I think that him turning his phone off is like fire, and I think the stuff
versus his phone just dying.
Look, they're going to be able to tell that.
Yeah, if his phone was shut off or if it died.
And he's going to need to never have done that before.
Mm-hmm.
To have that pattern before, for it to be like, I always do this at this time. I always take a drive at this time.
Mm-hmm.
Or else we're just overlooking something that is completely bizarre. And we need to keep our minds open to both scenarios. That it could potentially be him. Innocent until proven guilty, but we need to keep that open.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's very difficult to get as big as those girls are getting. Those girls are getting jacked and they're taking stuff.
I'm getting you some.
Oh yeah, that's what I want. Yeah, get those. You're definitely taking something. I mean, at least when you're younger at that age, like you can definitely tone. But we're talking about mass building muscle. Like we're talking, these girls' thighs are like two of some of these string bean boys that were running through the band field. Okay. These boys are like, those girls would drop them. Okay. I would take Kendra and that Peyton girl every single day against every single frat guy that I've seen from Sigma Chi. Hands down. I think that that Kendra girl and that Peyton girl would pummel the Sigma Chi boys. I mean, these girls are jacked. Ashlyn Couch, same thing. I'd take her too. I just want to know what came about that they wanted to change. Maybe they felt they needed to get jacked like that because to protect themselves. I don't know. They were doing competitions. Some of them were doing the competitions. But go and look it up. Steroids, selling steroids is a big thing. Maybe everyone's off on the mark here. But the girls in the sororities aren't the only ones that are taking this stuff and jacking themselves. All these Eco Shield boys, they're jacking themselves on roids too. And you can see the big difference in some of these kids. Eco Shield, don't even get me started on that. It's just the weirdest stuff. It's not the same Peyton. It's spelled differently. It's not the same person. Maybe they gained the freshman whatever and got overly healthy. No, this has nothing to do with any of that. This is mass muscle. And they're lifting. They're going to the gym, guys, and they are lifting. They're taking all the right supplements. They're eating right. This is like they're doing competitions, some of them. What's the brief on Eco Shield? They sell pest control. They run around all summer and hustle and sell all of like the, services during the summer. They go and they work hard for like 3 months or whatever, like not even however many weeks it is. And they sell, hey, can we spray your yard and get all your bugs and stuff like that? And so it's interesting though, because like the kids are the ones that sell the stuff, sell the service. And then they bring in like the old daddies, the dad bods that are actually like the sprayers. I think they subcontract that part of it out, to be honest. You guys should see their videos. I mean, I also think it's a form of residual income, but Vanna, but what did they refer to the sales as? They use a specific word. Oh God. Their sales pitch. I mean, I can totally play you one of their videos if you'd like to see. Who was Emma's best friend that you referred to? Emma's best friend is Aiden. Yes, all the moms. Wonderful, yes. Happy Mother's Day. Cutco. They called them something when they would get a sale. Yeah, we're working on that. We're working on that. But once again, just like, what are the odds? Like, I think it should just show people like how, at the end of the day, this white Elantra, there's so many of them, but you have the FBI saying that it was a 2011, 2013 from the King Road cameras. Okay. These lights here, like that's everything on it. So when you're looking at this, the wheels, that tells me that it's not a 2011, 2013 because they don't have the type of wheels right here. On this, they have like the blinker light there on the mirror. And then you can see where the light, let's see, brake lights are. Or maybe they're the Or maybe the park lights, whatever they are, fog lights. Happy Mother's Day. Thank you. The Eco Shield boys were in no way jacked. No. They're not jacked at the beginning. Okay. They started doing Eco Shield as like freshmen. It's like the whole fraternities. You guys have not seen this? Come on, y'all. I'm going to play one of them. Okay. I think you guys need a little Eco Shield in you. Eco Shield pest control. Here it is. I'll give you one of the good ones. Okay, here. I can't believe I'm going to show this. Here, you guys will like this. Let's see.
Good. I'm sure you know Nancy. Tomorrow, I'm going to be helping out her and another 8 of your neighbors. Just because of the little ants we've been getting with all the extra rain. As well, the spiders, and worst thing's been the rodents. If I can help you while I'm here with everybody tomorrow, I'm doing it for super cheap. Do you guys have a bug guy already? You guys have been doing it yourself. Perfect. Yeah. Most people. Are just,
He's working on a sales pitch, guys.
Typically, if you were to call into the office, how many square feet was your home? 2,500. Yeah, typically if you were to call into the office, it'd be $250 for that first service, and it's cheap, just once a season. It's just $119. Because I'm already going to be here with everybody, I'm taking $150 off of initial, just $98. And that's still for everything. What everybody loves about my service, why most people have been switching and starting with me out here, is because of what I do up here in the eaves. Yeah, here we go. You know how we get all these mud daubers and spider webs? Yeah, what I need to do for you tomorrow is I got a big brush.
Okay, so here I'm going to give you another one. We're going to go.
Hello? Hello? How can I help you?
Home by chance?
Say it again?
Home by chance?
Yeah, how can I help you?
Can you just swing outside real quick? I'm just working for a few of the neighbors. I was going to talk to you about some stuff that's going on outside.
Outside of where?
House.
It's all right. Thank you, though.
You don't want to get all these spiders that are starting to pop up taken care of and the yard and stuff like that?
Oh, no. I like the spiders.
Yeah, that's weird, man. All right.
Thank you.
Answer.
They come back.
Hello?
Oh, wait. Yeah, he can answer through the ring camera. I flicked him off.
Yeah, look.
Hello?
Oh, hey, what's going on? Are you home by chance? Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm over at the Icebergs right now. I was wondering if you could meet me out here. I wanted to, it's been the same thing for everybody. Out here, we're getting a ton of the spiders up in the eaves. I got a little bit of downtime on the truck. If you could swing out here quick, I'm doing everything pretty cheap. Have you guys mainly just been dealing with the crab spiders?
One of your guys already came out.
Yeah, I know. That was probably my flyer boy. I want to swing by because I got the truck literally down the road right now, and all these guys are doing it extremely cheap right now.
Awesome. Could you guys please get off my property?
Yeah. See you later, man.
Can you please suck my dick? What is wrong with them? Okay, so check this out.
Alright. Day one, man. Championship first trip. Oh man, it's too early in the morning for this shit, man. Who would have ever thought Florida be the second crib and shit? Out here again, man. Never thought, man. Sorry. This nigga chilling. How's your first day, bro?
It was good, bro. It was just like some unfortunate shit. Okay, so the first door I knocked, there was a guy. He was like, "Are you a part of the homeowners association? Like, how'd you get in the neighborhood?"
First. Yes, sir.
Keep it casual. Hold on.
Yes.
Hold up.
And how would you still have love for me? I got some big confusing. I got some niggas who.
Wait, so does anybody know what they do yet for a living? Because I don't. Here.
How you sound like a star?
On the way back to the crib. After a successful trip.
Oh, 6 guys.
6 gang. I mean 6 sales. We'll be back in a few.
A couple of grand. I gotta move.
He's me and Keith still what? Top 5?
Top 5
in the company, top 5 shit. I mean, we'll be back in another 2 weeks.
And then it'll be go time right after that. Let's get it.
We're coming for everything.
See y'all soon.
Money bags. Yeah, man, you already know what's going on. Me and the boys got a new apartment.
Yes, sir. New apartment, man.
All the new shit right here. Damn, I was gonna send this to my mom, but whatever, she gonna get it. Had to get the pots and pans.
Okay, so
that vacuum, could we like clean? We cleanly out here.
this is, they recruit, so EcoShield, they recruit fraternity boys to do this in the summer. And they, what's the word? They said it's a lifestyle.
Light switch. Wherever the light is, cool. Shut up, this our stuff. Boom.
Wait, what do you got an apartment for a couple weeks?
You already know? I'm doing a vlog. We got like, I'm gonna send this to my mom, so don't say nothing wrong. But yeah, you already know what's going on.
Now they see us, we all up in magazine. I'm about making money, laughing, joking when there's nothing funny. You wasn't thinking, get nothing from me. I did some things and gained nothing from it, and I was locked down with it with them.
Too rich for who? Y'all just got rich again. Who grips them?
We're eating, we living, and we joining live. We giving people knowledge.
We're giving back to the community.
We're giving back to the community. We don't want to be in Seabus. We don't want to be in Coatesville. And then there's dudes like Jaden. He'll join the live. He'll hate a little bit. Sit from the comfort of his bed. You got to get out that comfort zone. And then there's another type of nigga, man. That's that Keith type nigga, man. He sees the live. He hops out of bed. He hops out that comfort zone. And he hops in the motherfucking pool, man.
He said, DJ, where we at right now?
We're in fucking Tampa, man.
Hey, I don't like to talk when there's nothing else left to say. Only good in my city because I said so. Just a 50th state, man. I had to cop a field like Presto. Voila, ta-da. Never a
few days. Moments. Just one of those moments. You just gotta zoom out. Got about 13 days left. Give or take a few days. Just gotta zoom out, baby. In Tampa, Florida. Summer's almost over. Got the biggest bag I ever had. Can't complain, man. I can say I'm tired all day if I want. Say I want to go home, but at the end of the day, changing my life, man. Yes, sir. Same days, completing them same days. Show me the backpack. Do a spin, do a little spin.
We both know end of the day, this pressing play, your nanny is pressing play, your wifey.
Yes. We pushed our hardest.
It's about to be a storm.
We knew we could. I'm happy. Leave me alone. Hard work, we barely work, and I don't even know, man. We get to the next 6. 3, day 3 is shield. Absolutely.
Nazareth, I'm f***ed up, homie, you f***ed up, but if God got up.
Right now, working. Just had to document. I just hit 300. Just hit 300K. Feeling good.
300K.
Let's pop another one. Back to neutral. It's Friday, baby. 2 days left. Put up like 65K yesterday, so it was a slow day. It rained a lot. Put up 2. We still won against Jersey, so
You guys, I'm sorry. What is going on? Did he make his goal?
There's not much to say. We spanked Jersey. There is no coming back for them, so it's the last day of Shield, but I'm getting off the doors in like an hour because there is no catching that for us. So I'm gonna just pop a quick one. Yeah, I'm not getting the earrings today. Just pop my last one of the summer.
Popped what?
175 buys.
175 buys.
I guess they like the earrings. I'm just playing. No, 175 buys. I'm out of here. It's 2:30. It's hot as a mud.
We gon' be all partner, put the candy paint in.
Rock, hey, roll, hey, rock, hey, roll, hey, rock, hey, roll, hey, rock.
Where my dogs at? 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 Hey! Let's go. Sit on me. Sit on 3. 1, 2, 3. Chill.
I don't have any words, man. This is what they do. They graduate and they come and do this stuff. It's like a cult, I guess. I think if my son came home and said this is what he was going to do after he just got, $100,000 to $150,000 education, I would have some problems with it. I think. I think I just have a lot of problems with it. Who let the dogs out? It's team building, baby. It's team building. Yeah. But yeah, what they do is they have these competitions, and then they all go to Cancun, and that's actually what you guys need to see is the Cancun one. But this is what I want to know if Kaylee was going to do in Austin, if she was a part of this, part of the doing an internship with, if it actually had something to do with this. So it's just another level. I mean, it's wow. Let's see here. Mm. I think I'm getting out like so many views. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, it's just another. It's just wild. I can't believe it. They have great reviews. Hmm. Mm.
Back to back month. If I read this book called The Psychology of Selling back in college, because I used to do sales a lot, door to door sales, and there's this principle where the best time to make a sale is right after you make a sale. Because I feel like I've talked about this before. Shit, it's hard to keep up with it. I don't remember. Have I talked about this before in another vlog? But yeah, your endorphins are like raging, so you're like so confident on the next one. You're just in that rhythm. But yeah, it's crazy. It's so crazy that I used to do sales because I'm so introverted, and that's why I was so bad at it. ISFP, man, it's probably the worst brain type for sales. I just in high school, I remember my sister, one of her friends in high school, was making like 100K a year or something, selling T-Mobile, like working at a T-Mobile booth. And he didn't go to college or anything. And so when I heard that in high school when I was 16, I was like, oh, great. I'll just do sales. Like I don't have to work hard in school. So I remember I had that thought. I was like, great, I can just do sales and I'll be rich that way. So no, I still like barely graduated high school and then went to community college. Well, it barely just became a university at that point, 2008, Utah Valley University. And
I can't believe that's on the internet. All right. Well, thank you guys. So, wow. I just don't even have words. I don't even have words. Anyways, yep, that's Eco Shield. You can go check them out, look them up. But I don't know. But yep, you guys were great. Thank you. Hopefully the locals connect. Let's see. I will drop this link for like the last 15 minutes. If anybody has something they want to add to this, and then otherwise I will be closing it out. So Again, happy Mother's Day to everybody. I may take this on over to members only and get real crazy over there with it. But thank you. Again, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. Tomorrow's your day. Every day should be Mom's Day. So. Please, I'm not ready for bed yet. Yeah. Well, I'm hopeful that we should start seeing what the police obviously saw when they, zeroed in on Brian Koberger. But very simple. I believe everybody is innocent until proven guilty. And then once you see those facts and you see the evidence, then you say, yep, here you go. It's just really disappointing to see everybody in the media or anybody that has a platform going about something, just crucifying somebody before. How you could sit here and say that Brian Koberger is going to have a fair trial. That's a lie. Innocent or guilty, I couldn't imagine anybody out there saying that they'd want to be in his shoes, thinking that, no, he has a fair trial. What do you mean? I don't think anybody out there is going to possibly say that. And it just blows my mind that people would get upset that I want to defend a standpoint of innocent until proven guilty. Well, I'm defending what it says in our justice system. So I don't know what you're defending, but I'm defending our justice system, which is innocent until proven guilty. That's what our justice system is. It's not the other way around. And when people say, oh, Brian Koberger got another attorney. Yeah, it's a death penalty case. That's the whole point of, again, our justice system is we're given attorneys when you can't afford one, things like that. He has a right to an able defense. Again, when you have the right person, none of this should be a problem. But I want to say thank you to all the mods. Thank you to all the members. Thank you to the subscribers. Thank you guys for being here. And thank you for being respectful.
They were so good.
Yeah, I love
2.2 in chat, and they were like, nobody got blocked today.
2.2 in chat and nobody got
No one
blocked.
got blocked.
Isn't that amazing? It's just amazing when people act like adults. I just love it. I seriously love it. And I welcome, I put this out there to everybody, and please, I will debate and go on any show. Anybody can come on my show. You can sit here and explain, XYZ, XYZ. I'm just going to stick to logic and the facts. And we can question some things, but to me, for anybody to say that Brian Koberger is guilty, the evidence isn't there to say that yet. So I just think that that's wrong. Lan asked everybody to hit the thumbs up. I asked everybody to make themselves known. Hit the thumbs up or the thumbs down. You have an opinion. And I'm thinking that if you were here for that long, you might as well be hitting the thumbs up, because I wouldn't stick around. I wouldn't stick around if I didn't, like what I was saying. Facts matter, yeah. I think it's important to know the people. And you guys, I'm just having a hard time getting around the fact that he just came from Pennsylvania. He doesn't know anybody. He doesn't know anybody here. So I just don't think there's going to be that much. I mean, it's not like he's a girl coming here and girls bring a bunch of crap. He's a dude, and you see how neat he keeps his car, and thank you there, darling. Appreciate that. Love everyone. Gotta go. See you guys later. Bye, Lana Banana. Happy Mother's Day. Thanks, Gina. Appreciate that. Debate, crime, circus. All right, I think that's going to wrap it up then. Take care, be kind, and the students should have a platform, and we're going to allow that. So please, if you're here when that happens, be respectful and like always, and refrain from saying, who are you? Who are you? That's just not going to be answered. So, all right, guys, see you soon. Until next time, consider becoming a member. But it's free to be a subscriber. Just hit the join button, or what was it, the bell? Something like that. I don't know. Do something. Take care. Good night.